Conversations from the Cave is a raw self-help podcast dedicated to discussing men's issues. From pornography to parenting, from religion to real life, from learning to loving. We discuss the real issues that affect real men every day. Join us each week for powerful, revealing Conversations from the Cave. Now your host, Kurt Kennedy.
This is Conversations from the Cave. I'm your host, Kurt Kennedy. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. Today's topic is a continuation of our discussion of masculinity. We will be talking today about the issue of homosexuality and the masculine man. Is there a role in manhood for homosexuality, or is this something of an anathema? We'll be sending this around and talking about the issue of homosexuality as it has become a truly pinnacle issue over the last few years. And we would like to discuss this in such a way as to see if we need, as men, to look at this more carefully, particularly as it influences our children and more directly our sons who may choose this. So, gentlemen, as we do each week, we'd like to have a shout out from each of you. So to my right, Mustang, can you give us a shout out, sir?
Hey, this is CJ Mustang. Very excited to be here, and I appreciate you letting me on the show.
All right, and right in the middle, we've got BA. BA, can you chime in for us, sir?
Yeah, this is BA. Glad to be here, ready to talk about some sin.
And lastly, but not leastly, our friend from Louisiana, Nola, can you chime in for us, sir?
Yeah, this is Nola73. Meet you where you can.
So, gentlemen, the topic of homosexuality has become front and center. We've seen the Homosexual Marriage Act passed not too very long ago. We've seen now the push for transgender rights, or people who have been born one way who are choosing to change their gender identity, either visibly or through some sort of surgical alteration. And we realize that now the messages that are sent to our young people is that tolerance for homosexuality and allowing it to be manifest and even applauded is something to be ascribed to. There's also the discussion that suggests whether or not men who are choosing this are being influenced in a way by either political leanings or the influence of modern society and feminism, or is this really anything to be concerned about? Is this even a concern that warrants discussion? So, gentlemen, I'm going to start to my right with our good buddy Mustang. Mustang, what do we say to the thought that homosexuality is here, and what do we do about it? Do we do anything about it? Do we even need to be worried about it? What are your thoughts?
For me, I believe very much that the people who are homosexual, and this is for the most part, people who are homosexual, they know what they're doing. You know, they know the course that they're on, and they're choosing it willingly. That's what I say, I believe. Now, there are a lot of people who are, kind of throwing their hands up. I don't see anything wrong with this. This is okay. Do I believe that you can be masculine and homosexual? I guess that determined on what you define as masculine, because when we spoke about masculinity last time, I defined as sacrificing yourself, and I feel like sometimes, and again, getting really controversial because you're gonna have a lot of different comments on this, but homosexuality, I feel like sometimes is a self-centered thing. People may say, well, no, it's not. It's typically sexual in nature for the most part. Again, there's some here and there, and that's difficult to describe, but and to each particular person, they're going to have their own feelings and thoughts on that. But all that to say, I feel like, can you still be manly and be homosexual? Absolutely. You can still be manly, but can you be masculine? Can you be, can you do what a person who is what we described as last week, be a masculine person? I don't think so. I just don't feel that way. So it's a little more difficult to talk about. And like I said, as I hear some of the other guys, I think I'll have a little bit more. Usually I like to kind of type things while I'm listening. So
Sure. BA, when we talk about homosexuality, do you think it's even a problem now, or do you think it's just something that's commonly accepted, and why even bother? I mean, what is your take on that?
Well, first of all, let me just start off by saying, on my introduction, I did say something, and I want to clarify that because, homosexuality is a sin, and a sin is a sin is a sin because there's many different types of sins out there. but we're using our bodies not to glorify God, and that is sin whenever we view homosexuality. And yes, as you asked, do I see it as a problem? It's a big problem, because you giving men a choice to be more than just the manly man that we need men to be, or women the choice to ignore men to focus on having a relationship with another woman. And it divides gender a lot of times, because men with men, women with women, and that's not what I've been taught. That's not what the Bible says. And that sin is there before us. And
so
talking about homosexuality.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. So what I'm hearing you say is that personally you feel as though homosexuality by definition is wrong. You feel using a moral compass that is based in the biblical understanding, you feel that homosexuality is wrong. You also feel that I can't remember the second point that you made, but I believe that the second point related to that, in that even though a sin is a sin, that people are making an unwise choice, if I'm hearing you correctly.
Yes, that's correct. That's what I was talking about. And within the depths of homosexuality, I hate to say that there's the idea of love. So the idea that another man loves a man more than just, like back in the old days, or when I was younger, people used to high five or, maybe hit somebody on the butt just because they did a good job, man to man. Now that was a form of way to go, but we have turned it into, becoming more man on man, and I'm not a woman, so I can't speak for the women, but in my mindset, it used to be where you enjoyed the moment, so you were emotionally in that time, so it wasn't looked at as, I don't want to say this word, and I don't want to say it a lot, but gay. But also, the word gay used to mean, before we tore the term up, joyous. Being full of joy was being gay and marching around, and being of a energy that was not of ourselves. So, in the idea of love I was talking about that you have as being a homosexual, we still, as a believer that I am, I need to love them just like Christ loved me. So, I know that's probably going a little bit far, and we're going to talk about that, I'm sure, a little bit later, but
sure.
That's, I guess, the point I wanted to make right now, Kurt.
Sure. And I hear what you're saying. So basically what I'm hearing you say is that now that we have this whole homosexual environment, things that were in the past not considered homosexual acts, just simply being with the guys, hanging with the guys, those things are now questionable, because now we live in a homosexual post, sort of a liberated post homosexual society where anything can be misconstrued as gay, so behavior, I believe, is what you were speaking to, has to change in light of that. So, or at least you're more cognizant or aware of what you do, because you never know, for example, if that's considered inappropriate now under the new context. Nola, do you have an opinion on homosexuality? Do you have an opinion on how that relates to manhood and manliness?
Yes, I do. When we talk about that, we're talking about how a man should act. And if I had friends or family members, male family members, that were portraying themselves as a feminine gender, I wouldn't want them to have a great influence around my kids. Why? Yes, this is your family, but because of your actions, because of the act that you portray, I can't allow my kids to be a part of your identity, and that in retrospect, now I'm taking my family and I'm casting them to the side, and you can't be a part of my son's life. Why? Because of the role that you choose to take on. And you don't want to do that to your family, but you have to a degree, because you don't want the influence to be there. And so when I look at it from that standpoint, it's a big role. Secondly, I would like to say, it's selfish. Like BA says, biblically, you want to represent God in all facets. And if he created you to be a male, then you should represent a manly role. If he created you female, you should be able to create the womanly role. But it takes away. So if you take all real men and all real women away, and you just leave it to, those weaker genders, then who procreate? There's no more growth. Then the economy, the country becomes stagnant, and there's no population. There's no new ideas. There's no new movement. It's just a standstill. Why? Because of the choices you choose to make, which is a part of sin. That's my take.
So what do we say to the individual? Let's say there's a young man out there who is in the valley of decision and says he's never liked girls, and because he doesn't like girls, he's probably gay. What do we say to the young man who's in the valley of decision, and how do we get them to look at life and perhaps maybe not draw that conclusion? Or are they gay just because they haven't had any desire towards girls?
You have people out there like that. That's just a form of sin. So it's a form of confusion. And basically what you have to do, and it's sad to even say this, but a real man have to get to that person. If it's a male figure, a real man have to get there and show them how to become a man. And I'm saying it's sad to say that, because if a weaker person get to that person, then they got the influence. And so you want somebody that's strong-minded, strong-willed, and that's a believer, that's faithful, and that's faithful in their belief, to get that person of God and still in that person what character they're supposed to display and how to display it. Yes, it's a struggle, it's a fight, but we still have to fight it. And that's something that you're going to have to deal with. I mean, throughout eternity, you're going to have to do that as long as you're living. I mean, we all have desires that we have to fight, but we conquer them through the grace of God.
So go ahead, Mustang.
Oh, okay. I just want to chime in and say that I feel like, too, as Christians, and I feel we all feel this way. I could be absolutely wrong. I know BA touched on this a little bit with what he was saying, but I want those out there who have been shunned by maybe quote unquote Christians or Pharisees, who've been shunned by those who are supposed to love God. Let me explain something. You're talking to somebody who said that he slept with a lot of women and he was maybe rude to his wife and he watched pornography. You're talking to another person here who's watched pornography, who's done tons of stuff, who's in the past had homosexual tendencies. You're talking to other person here who's said he's had problems with marital faithfulness, who had problems with this and had problems with that. You're not talking to any perfect people here. So I am not only am I not expecting you to be perfect, I'm expecting you to be exactly who you are, to be someone who's blemished, to be someone who's imperfect. So I'm going to love you. I'm going to hug you. Going to kiss you. Going to help you with a ride if you need it. Going to help you to work if you need it. The same thing I do for a cross-dresser. Same thing I do for a business owner. Same thing I do for a janitor. Same thing I do for a thief. Okay. So that's the biggest thing that I want those out there who are listening to know, that is homosexual is, you may think, oh my God, listen, we love you. Do we agree with this? Do I agree with this? And I'm going to speak for myself because I dare not speak for these other guys, but I'm pretty sure they agree. Do we agree with this lifestyle? Absolutely not. Because of our faith and our belief in Jesus Christ. And for me, just on a very standard, not even Jesus Christ, the way the world is set up with, we talked about the plug and the cord or the prongs, it's very simple to see how we make electricity. But still, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to love you. I don't agree with it, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to get love from us, or you're not going to get love from me for sure.
Sure. So let me ask this. Do we even dare to, if we believe that someone has these tendencies, is there hope for that person to not have those tendencies? Is there hope for that person to live a life free of that? Is there really a choice there for a person who happens to have those tendencies? What do you say to them? I think what I'm hearing you say is that, first of all, we want to let them know that they have choice. Number two is we want to have someone strong that is pointing them in the direction of being a man, a manly man, a man who chooses to raise a family, a man who chooses to give of himself to his offspring, a man who chooses to guide his family to a sense and understanding of nobility and character, not one who is demonstrating that he is emasculated, he is effeminate, not feminine, but effeminate, and has lost the